This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks. Celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Fancy Friday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Yes, indeed, the 3-martini lunch. It's a beautiful day. Aston's here, dressed all beautifully, too. And yes, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, my friends. Good afternoon, everyone. Did I hear correctly, or was that reporter's name Willie Nelson? Willie Nelson, Town Hall News. Yeah. This is the news theme to the Town Hall
River, take my mind.
News. Willie Nelson, Town Hall News reporting. Yeah. You know, the other guy I like on Town Hall is that one guy who talks like this. His name is something Peters, and he's the news guy. I love it. It's kind of like the land of misfit toys, but I like that. That's what CNN was in the very beginning. You know, they had Bobby Batista, who was cross-eyed. They had Bernard Shaw, who had a forehead as big as Nevada, and then a couple other people, and it was the perfect mix. It was nice, and it wasn't flashy, and it was kind of downplaying a little bit. I'm going to get into the media here really quickly, too, because I've got some stories to tell that I think are really super relevant to today's reporting, as I found a reporter in Virginia who is just the kind of local news reporter that we need. And I don't think we have enough of them. And I think I know why, but I'll get to that in just a little bit. One on a little bit of a personal note, by the way, so proud of my daughter, Natalie. But I got to tell you, so this weekend she graduates from Villa. And it is a great school. I really love the school. I love the school from the very beginning because I appreciated the femininity of the school, Villa Duchesne, and it is a Sacred Heart school, and it just is absolutely a beautiful school. She is one of 47 seniors this year at Villa, and I got to tell you though, I have sent four children off to college. Well, 3, and then now Natalie. And it doesn't get any easier for some reason. It just doesn't. It's like, wow. Because, of course, you know, and I'll do this eventually because I'm going to put some videos up of her because I have always been, with all of my children, a prolific picture and video taper. And so I documented their entire life, every single one of them. And so it makes it kind of harder because I have not only memories like it was yesterday on all these things, but I can see them too. And you know, and it's crazy. You guys are parents, some of you, and it's crazy to be in a situation where literally, and I know this isn't anything new to a lot of you, but literally, like it was yesterday. Like I have a picture of her from when she was 6, and it was like it was Monday. I mean, it's crazy how that works. And now suddenly she's just so beautiful and all grown up. And I will say that we had the baccalaureate mass last night, which was absolutely beautiful. And I will say that well, I'll just give a little bit of a brag here really quickly. So the class, this school, which is a great school, great teachers, just a beautiful vibe, everything else. They produced 2 valedictorians, and one of them is Natalie. So they have co-valedictorians this year, which is great, which means that these 2 individuals, Natalie and the other girl, have identical success rates as it relates to their scholastic performance and beyond. So that's really pretty cool, and I'm really proud of her, and it's pretty amazing. She worked very, very hard for that, and I'm super, super proud of her. And then she's off to Georgetown in August, so it's going to be a fast summer, and it's going to be and her younger sister Lily is going to miss her. I know that for a fact. But the good news is, I told Lily, I said, the flights on Southwest to D.C. are super easy, sometimes even super cheap. So maybe every once in a while on the weekend you can run up there and see your sister, and maybe your older sister Katie can come down from New York, because that's only about 2.5 hours, a quick shuttle away. So the girls may be all together at some point in D.C. Anyway, on to the story of the day, and I don't know whether you saw what happened. Very, very consequential event yesterday on Capitol Hill, as this Fairfax County prosecutor, Steve Descano, absolutely got his rear handed to him by people who are, well, not only Republicans, but also from a news station, which is really very interesting. So Descalso is a demon. He's a terrible, horrible person. And so are members of his staff. And I don't throw around demon lightly, but these people are pure evil. They got to a situation where he, in spite of being warned over and over again by the police in Fairfax County, the county sheriff saying, this guy, this illegal immigrant, Abdul Jallo, is a known wolf. He's going to kill somebody someday if you don't put him away. So what did Steve Descalso's office do? They kept returning him to the streets constantly, repeatedly, to the point where it was almost 30 times. And that's because Steve Descalso had a policy in his office, and that was they would not prosecute to the extent that the illegal would be deported. That was his promise on his website when he was campaigning. And the minute that there was a situation where Stephanie Minter, murdered by this criminal alien, 30-plus arrests, she's murdered as she's waiting for a bus by this guy, and Congress got wind of it. It was close by, obviously, Fairfax County. Congress got wind of it and said, we want to know what you're up to. This is a Soros-funded prosecutor, right? We want to kind of know what you're up to. And the minute, of course, that he got the subpoena to appear before Congress, he wiped his campaign website. He deleted all of that. These people are disgusting, vile individuals, and they're all over the country. You know, we can talk about Hakeem Jeffries and all these other people who are the leading Democrats, but the people who are doing the most damage in this country and hurting the most people are the locally elected Democrats. We had that with our own prosecutor in the city of St. Louis, but this is all over the place. It's a disease, And Soros has basically funded it. It's on purpose. Soros doesn't need to give Hakeem Jeffries money. All he has to do is give all these local Democrat demons funding for their campaigns to get them elected. That's how they do it. It's a similar approach to school boards and infecting school boards with liberal NEA demons. It's local politics is where you can have the most infiltration and do the most damage. So this also goes before Congress, and it is rip time.
Mr. Descano, I consider you a disgrace.
Republican members of Congress slammed Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano for dropping nearly every charge that came.
I was calling him Descalso this whole time, and that's a former Cardinal player, sorry.
Across his desk. For Abdul Jallo, he's an illegal immigrant with a lengthy violent criminal history who is now charged with murdering Stephanie Minter at a bus stop in February. Her mom testified to the U.S. House Judiciary Subcommittee on Immigration.
I am here for accountability. I am here because a system failed my daughter. If not for these failures, I could be sharing a cup of coffee with Stephanie this morning rather than speaking with you all today.
Some members of Congress said Stephanie's murder is one of many examples where Descano's office has dropped charges and given sweetheart deals to illegal immigrant criminals who went on to commit more crimes in the county.
That is as shameful as anything I have seen.
Talk to me
Quit defending the indefensible.
People in my
you clearly
community.
don't.
Absolutely
You dismissed
not.
the case, and it's shameful.
Sir,
you're a coward.
Congressman Jim Jordan grilled Descano on his office policy that says prosecutors shall take immigration consequences into account in plea and charging decisions. Descano posted that position on his website for 6 years, but took it down just weeks before the committee hearing.
Why'd you change your website?
Because that's not my policy. As I told you, sir, that was a campaign statement that I made
Mr.
before
Descano,
I was Commonwealth
It had been up for 6 years. A week after we send you a letter saying we want you to come testify, Shazam, you change it.
Because
I'm
I
just
could not.
asking, is that coincidental?
Because I could not believe that people were so obtuse that they could not realize what the difference between a campaign statement and an actual office policy is.
So when you make campaign statements, those aren't true? You're not being honest with your voters?
That's not what I'm saying at all, sir.
Sure sounded like it. Sure sounded like it.
In his opening statement, Descano said he doesn't assist ICE, and he apologized to Cheryl Minter.
Ms. Minter, I am deeply sorry for your loss. And I say that not only as a prosecutor, but as a parent of a daughter.
I heard your apology, Mr. Descano. I think the public would like to hear your resignation.
Miss Minter told me that was the first time Descano ever directly apologized to her, and she wants him to resign.
Mr. Descano, was this the first time you've apologized to Cheryl Minter?
I asked Mr. Descano why it took a congressional hearing for him to finally apologize to Miss Minter. He didn't respond.
Now, at that congressional hearing, Mr. Descano had some supporters in the gallery. He had supporters there to support him in his testimony. But when Mr. Descano made that comment that people would be obtuse to believe what was on his campaign website, I looked back at the gallery and I saw some of his supporters shocked that he said that. Their jaws dropped and you could hear an audible gasp. Back to you.
Yeah. Now, well, and one of the people who was greeting him as he left, Descano, was Congresswoman Jayapal, of course. Now, some of you might be listening to this and saying, who was that reporter? Is that like, that doesn't sound like a Fox News guy or a OAN guy or a Newsmax guy or a Real America's Voice guy. Well, I got news for you. His name is Nick Minnock, and he is a reporter for ABC Channel 7 News in Virginia. He's a local news reporter. Now, it must be shocking to you because when have you seen a local news reporter anywhere busting the chops of these demon prosecutors and demon local Democrats or whatever? When have you? I've never seen it. Yeah, okay, so Elliot Davis used to run into like some clerk's office in Veneta Park and demand to know why her chair is $70 more than it should be. I get it. There's some people holding people accountable in those ways. I'm talking about real life stuff where you're really confronting people about the results of their decisions and how it's harming the people of St. Louis, Chicago, whatever. I think Chicago has one of these guys. But to me, this was really super impressive. I'm really impressed that ABC in Fairfax, Virginia, has a reporter like this, and he's on regular mainstream TV.
That's right, Scott. These emails that 7 News obtained show that Fairfax County Police warned Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano not once, not twice, but at least 3 times last year before Minter's murder about this illegal immigrant, a violent criminal history. He has a lengthy one, but time after time, Descano's office dropped charge after charge, allowing him back into the community.
This is a regular news report. And I guarantee you, these demons were shocked to see him up in D.C. where he followed them, because they figured, well, all we have to do is go before Congress. It gets reported on Fox News or whatever. We get our butts kicked, and Newsmax covers it. ABC, NBC, and CBS will ignore it. CNN will too. MS Now. So what do we have to lose? Let's just go up there, take our lumps, and we'll go back to killing people in Fairfax County. Nobody will notice, and George Soros will keep paying us, and everything's going to be fine. Well, they didn't account for Nick Minnock from Channel 7, who, after the hearing, decided he was going to hound them. And not only Descano, but actually the prosecutor, Jenna Sands, who was actually the prosecutor who was the one explicitly warned by police about this illegal alien. And she was the one. So Nick Minnock decides he's going to go chase after not only Descano, but then her, and she has some harpy kind of getting in her way. And wait till you hear her laugh when she is confronted by all this. And with all this, I should say. Here we go.
Jenna Sands, you were on the prosecutorial team. You were the one those emails were addressed to. Why didn't you take it more seriously?
Okay. Do you want to start walking
Do
that
you
way? regret
Nick, dropping these charges against Abdul Jallo?
About the evidentiary issues in these specific cases.
You don't have any regrets?
We are bound by the evidence.
I'm not talking to you, Laura. I'm talking to Jenna.
Yeah, I love that part of it, too. I'm not talking to you, Laura, because he knows her name. And he's a reporter up in D.C., and they're not going to be able to slink out of the U.S. Capitol without having somebody who knows them by name. And he does, obviously, because he's probably works the courthouse, works the place, and everything else. And really, in the end, it's fantastic. And she
Jenna,
starts to laugh.
Do you have regrets? Police wrote you 3 separate times that Abdul Jallo was dangerous.
And Nick,
why didn't you heed those warnings?
Police concerns.
Nick, I'm pretty sure Laura's given you what you need.
I'm talking to you.
Yes.
I'm not talking to you, Laura.
And unfortunately, my interactions with you have not led me to believe
we are limited by the law and the evidence.
But you were the one on the emails.
It's okay. Thank you.
Our office has been in close.
Yeah, she just laughed. And everybody in Fairfax County sees that, because that's going to be on Nick's report on ABC 7 News there. It won't be on any report nationally or anywhere else. The prosecutor who wound up turning this guy out was warned by police that if he hit the street again, he'd kill somebody 30-plus times. She still let him out because the Descano policy was not to do anything that would cause the deportation of illegal aliens who came into their system. And to my point about this is why I believe that I'll start from the top when I talked about local news reporting that needs to be done, that is consequential, and everything else. That will be the key. You know, Jesse Waters isn't going to save lives the way Nick Minnock can. And I'm not attacking Jesse Waters, but you know what I mean. I mean, Bill Malugin, who's a great reporter, but he's not going to save the kind of lives that a guy like Nick Minnock can. And so it's really super important. I think the key, which I discovered just through this whole process of paying attention to Nick Minnock, the key really is, and I'll have him on the show on Monday. He said he can't be on today, but I'll have him on the show on Monday, and we'll chat. We'll commiserate on local news. But, you know, if we had 1,000 Nick Minnocks, the world would be a completely different place. Because you've never heard of Descano or this Jenna chick or Laura. I'm not talking to you, Laura. Laura, I'm not talking to you. That should be her permanent last name. But anyway, you're not going to, these people are going to be exposed only by local people. And keep in mind, Nick Minnock's the only guy. There was probably 3 or 4 different channels there. The only guy who's bothering to report on this story. And the chances are pretty good that he's not going to win an Emmy over this. He's not going to win a Broadcaster's Award over this. We all know all that. But nonetheless, he's doing the kind of work that I think will need to happen, and that's how it goes. These people who are employed by regular television stations, these people who are employed by regular mainstream television stations need to be the ones who are getting out there and doing this work and exposing these demons. Now, on the other side of this, however, I'm going to tell you, based on my personal experience, why that's going to be difficult. And I will tell you, based on my personal experience, why Nick Minnock is an unusual player in all of this, and why there might not be duplications of him in among people who are employed in mainstream TV. Follow up on that on the other side of this. It's going to be a big day. We've got Elizabeth Kaiser coming in again with an AI update. I'm going to ask her about that little study Princeton is now going back to Proctor's because everybody's cheating with ChatGPT. And President Trump and the issue of the Chinese buying up farmland. We'll talk about that as well. Happy Fancy Friday. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
John Beal knows it right after a hailstorm. New roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Hey guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the experiment and liberty that our founders envisioned, we must take a stand and fight.
Stand and fight with Nick Schroer. Sunday nights at 6.
Only on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
I want to share something with you. Cooking a pizza using coal creates an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. Of course, they offer a wide variety of pasta, but you just visit the website napolistl.com, dine in or take out, and get ready for patio season. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Try it. You can thank me later.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Go to Meir, born in 1898, Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union. Her parents and 7 other children often went hungry. When 8, her family came to America, Milwaukee. But her parents were more concerned as she got older about her getting married instead of an education. So she ran away from home, joining a sister in Denver. Then she began to learn about women's suffrage, social causes. In her biography, Golda stated, "It was in Denver my real education began." In her early 20s, she and her husband moved to Palestine, which later became the State of Israel. Still nothing suggesting one day she would become a prime minister. But she did, serving as Israel's 4th prime minister from 1969 to 1974. She was considered fearless, grandmotherly, and a dry wit. As she said one time, God took our people through 40 years in the desert to bring us to the one spot in the Middle East that has no oil. Another quote she had, "We don't want wars even when we win, but the one, in my opinion, that stands above all others. Peace will come when our enemies love their children more than they hate us."
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Window World, 800 Get Windows.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Fancy Friday to all of you. I want to tell you right off the bat here, I'm sorry that I'm playing this garbage Kenny G crap. I feel like I like almost all kinds of music, but this I cannot stand. I would rather listen to Zamfir, Master of the Pan Flute, than Kenny G. But there is a story behind Kenny G that is tied into my previous discussion with you about why some local news reporters do not cover things the way Nick Minnock did there in Virginia. And I worked at Channel 4 for 14 years. They kind of left me alone, thankfully. was an equal opportunity slayer and did some investigative reporting, but there still was a group of individuals, other reporters who, and I focus mostly on government and every once in a while did a few other things, and won plenty of Emmys doing it. But there wasn't really a tendency. The crime reporters, however, just covered crime. They just did the live shots outside of a home in North St. Louis or whatever and watched them wheel out the body bag, and that was pretty much it. It was just add water and everything else. There really wasn't much to it. And I couldn't figure out why there was kind of this lack of invigoration. And of course, we had beats. So, I realize that that's not the greatest excuse, but if I would have been able to Bigfoot some of these people on some of these court cases they covered and everything else, I probably would have. We also didn't have, to the degree, I would focus on like the crack team, and I do ride-alongs with those guys when they were trying to bust people for drugs and that kind of thing. At that time, crack cocaine was the worst problem we had, and we didn't have a bunch of illegals raping and stabbing and killing people in the city of St. Louis. But anyway, Phil says I could play that on my trumpet. No way. What is that, like a tenor saxophone or something? Yuck. Anyway, I was wondering why the news media in general, all throughout the, of course, also back in those days, we didn't have as many Soros prosecutors. Like we had a prosecutor in St. Louis County named Buzz Westfall and George Peach and Jennifer Joyce and other people, another one named Joyce, I forgot her name. But they were tough. I know George Peach got into a little bit of trouble, but these guys were tough prosecutors, though. So there it wasn't really. Buzz Westfall was great. I mean, he was when I was covering crime, Buzz Westfall was great because he was a great guy who gave you a quip here and there, and all you had to do was like, "Hey, Buzz, is this the worst crime you've ever seen in your life? This is the worst crime I've ever seen in my life." He would all you have to do is feed him lines. He'd say whatever you wanted him to say. But anyway, he was great. But these guys were tough. Buzz Westfall was tough, and so was golly, now I can't remember his name. What's his nuts beat him? But he was good too. And these guys sent people to prison. Jennifer Joyce, got to the point where she was sending people away and utilizing the gun laws that we had. And because oftentimes what would happen is nowadays, a lot of these liberal prosecutors, the first thing they do is they plea bargain and say, okay, you committed a robbery. And then if it's committing a robbery with a gun, it's like another 40 years. Well, they take that off and then just get you on the robbery charge and drop the 40 years extra time or 25 years or whatever. And then you're going to prison for half the time you should be. But anyway, so we didn't really have that kind of problem. But even if we did, I realize, and maybe this is a modern day problem as well, I don't know. But I'll never forget when I was one of the, and I'm not bragging, I'm just saying this is why I got into this situation. I was among some of the go-to people, the top reporters there, everything else. And so one day, the great Pete Barrett, who's our assignment editor, the late great Pete Barrett, came up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to go to a concert tonight?" And I'm like, what concert is that? Kenny G. Yeah, we're all going. General manager, news director, assistant news director, executive producer, me. And we'd like you to go too. I'm like, oh, well, how did we get the tickets? How did those come about? Well, Congressman Gephardt has a box. I'm like, you all are going to a concert with tickets given to you by one of our local Democrat congressman? Oh yeah, it's his. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna go. And they all went. They all went to see Kenny G with Congressman Richard Gephardt. So what do you think was the result of that kind of commingling and cross-pollinating between news people and Democrat congressmen? Democrat movers and shakers. Richard Gephardt, a nice guy, but he had a lot of pull in almost everything. And, I felt like, honestly, I could not go to a concert with a ticket given to me by a congressman. I wasn't gonna do it. Aside from the fact that even back then I couldn't stand Kenny G. Yeah. Phil asks a good question. He says, I don't know what's worse, going with Congressman Gephardt or going to a Kenny G concert. Yeah, I know. It'd be funny if I think one of my bosses was caught on a kiss cam and Kenny G and he had his arms wrapped around Richard Gephardt's chest and they were swaying to Kenny G's music. No, I don't know, but anyway, but now you know how these kinds of things happen. And also, by the way, back in the day, speaking of influence of politicians in newsrooms, do you realize, and it still exists today, the Post-Dispatch does it, all the TV stations do it, and everything else. How many of you know where the Chiltenham neighborhood is? Of course you don't know where that is. How do you guys know where the, I don't know, I can't even, there's some other, every neighborhood has a name, right? When you read the Post-Dispatch, you're never going to see North St. Louis. Or for that matter, South St. Louis, which actually in some cases has gotten just as bad as North St. Louis was. But you notice they never say North St. Louis. And you also notice when they're reporting on crime. And you'll also notice, and I think they do the same thing in Chicago, and you'll also notice that when you're watching TV and there's a crime in a neighborhood, it's never North St. Louis or South St. Louis. It's always the name of the neighborhood, and you don't know where the hell that is. Nobody does. Well, back in the day, and this was in the wee early 90s, this was around 90, 91, Mayor Vince Shamel, also a nice guy, but a Democrat as well. But all of his people came up with the wise idea of making a map of the neighborhoods and creating these gigantic maps of St. Louis delineated by the neighborhood names, so everything was divided and the neighborhood names. They didn't make up the names. I think the names were already there or what, I don't know. And every newsroom received one from the mayor's office. Every newsroom received one from the mayor's office. And it came with an edict from the mayor's office, from the Democrat mayor's office. It came with an edict saying, you are hereby now to report on crimes using only the neighborhood and not the geographic location, because they didn't want North St. Louis to get a bad reputation, even though people were dropping like flies there and getting their asses shot off by the hundreds. But instead of dealing with the problem, they just decided to whitewash it, and we just won't say North St. Louis, because then people won't give it any attention and blah, 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 blah. So every newsroom had the map, because I know that for a fact. You know why? Because back in the day, before I actually went off on my own to do my investigative reporting and everything else, I reported on crime. And I would always have to, after I came back, from another shooting on Red Avenue. Beware the bird names in St. Louis, by the way. If you're ever in North St. Louis and you're near Wren Avenue or Oriole or whatever else, you better have a gun. I'm just telling you. But anyway, I would have to come back, and I had the street name, and I'd have to look up the proper street name in the box, and then use that as the neighborhood. We were forbidden from saying North St. Louis. Pretty crazy. And then on top of that, Shamo was the one. I don't know whether you guys will notice this if you go to the Central West End enough, whatever. That's where all the white liberals, the rich white liberals and white liberal politicians live. Lyda Cruz lived down there. Everything else right there in the Central West End, and so did Vince Shamo. So what did they do then? Back in the day, they're called Shamo planters. Have you seen those? You go down to Euclid or these places like that, and they put up these gigantic planters that separated the predominantly white areas from the black areas, the more run-down Central West End areas, so that black people couldn't drive through the neighborhoods. That was what that was about. They were trying to keep criminals from driving through the fancy white liberal neighborhoods of the Central West End. And to this day, the Shamo planters still exist. They're still down there that keep people from driving through the neighborhood. It's pretty crazy. But I'm telling you, this is a pattern. So it goes, fast forward to today, when you, Mimica, Phil, Mimica, Hodemont, don't go there. Don't go there. So fast forward to what I just told you at the beginning of the show about Descanso and the prosecutors in Fairfax and everything else, and then go way back in time, and you find a consistent pattern among Democrat politicians. They will whitewash and deny crime. By the way, with a caveat, with credit going to the Democrat prosecutors we had in the 90s who were actually pretty damn good. But pretty tough. But anyway, you'll see the pattern of whitewashing, shell game playing, and just absolute damaging policies that keep the problem from being dealt with. Whether it be crime in North St. Louis, the families that were preyed upon in North St. Louis by other criminals, everything else, to the people being preyed upon by illegal aliens, Democrats never want to focus on the reality of crime. And it's another reason why, for instance, and this Descanso thing is a great example of that. It's another reason why Democrats just have no answers for the things that plague people. And to my original point, if the United States of America had more reporters in mainstream local news like Nick Minnock, we would actually probably be able to solve the problem faster than we would otherwise, relying on Republican congressmen or even President Trump for that matter. That's what we need. We need more local reporters who are busting down doors like this of these prosecutors and everything else. So, and it's crazy because in a country this size, with as many cities as we have and many broadcast outlets as we have, that I can name only one reporter that I know of who is holding prosecutors and Soros-funded prosecutors accountable, and that's Nick Minnock in Fairfax. That's it. Only one. And, there were people who were, doing these things, and some of them, will ask questions, but there's this weird thing in a lot of these cities, and I think sometimes it seems like management or whatever else, sometimes these individuals are too tied into the political power structures of the localities, and also because a lot of them are liberal. Benny Goodman's like, dude, really? Can you imagine Benny Goodman swaying? Swaying with his permed hair? Anyway, people, this is a fancy Friday, so I'm giving you a little treat, Kenny G. Next day, like, how was the concert? Oh, it's great. Sat in a box. The Richard Gephardt Congressional Box. It's Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch, the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Are you really set up for the future? I mean, buying a home, putting money away for your kids' college, thinking about retirement. Are you dialed in, or are you just kind of hoping it all works out? That's where Royal Banks of Missouri comes in. They'll actually sit down with you and build a real savings plan that fits your life, not some cookie-cutter approach. Whether it's roundup savings, money market accounts, or IRAs, they've got the tools. Most importantly, they've got the people to help you use them the right way. And if you run a business, this is big. Their treasury management team helps you stay on top of cash flow, cut down on fraud risk, and simplify your operations so you can focus on growing your business instead of chasing down numbers all day. That's the difference. Local bankers who actually know you and care about your success. Give them a call today, 314-212-1500, or visit royalbanksofmo.com to learn more. Royal Banks of Missouri, investing in our communities, one client at a time. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Democracy is loud, and on Tuesday, June 2nd, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate on June 2nd. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis and Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
GLP medications are everywhere, but are people losing fat or are they losing muscle too? This week we talk about smart weight loss, body composition, metabolism, and how to protect your long-term health.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney. Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The left wants you to believe the words Latino conservative is an oxymoron. Newsmax TV host Chris Salcido will join us at 5:20 to prove them wrong.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Schneider's True Value.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy fancy Friday to all of you and yours. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch, yow. Kathleen Murphy asking, how is the trumpet playing going? Well, I mentioned this yesterday. I gave people an update yesterday, and I'm having a hard time. It's the same problem I had when I was a kid. The women in my home do not want to hear it. The ladies, the females. So it annoys them. Then I thought my answer was maybe I should go outside and play. And I fantasized about annoying the neighbors to the point where the police would come and give me a noise ticket for playing the trumpet, which then I would summarily frame for posterity so that when I become famous and start giving concerts like Kenny G, I could say, you know, it all started when I got a noise ticket for playing the trumpet in my neighborhood. I did go down in the basement. I mean, sometimes I'll wait until they're asleep, and I'll go down in the basement, and there's this little room there called a wine room. There's no wine in there, but it was going to be one, but maybe still will. I don't know. But I go down in there and play, and so that's how I do it. I know people are going, Allman, you're such a pansy. Why are you letting people boss you around like that? I was like, well, I don't know. It's just I'm trying to get I'd have to compete with one of Natalie's crime shows anyway. So, figure I'll do it. All right, so we've got some interesting things coming out of the China trip, including the Chinese people getting in the way of the Secret Service. That was pretty weird. Bunch of surveillance cameras and everything else. And then I see President Trump on the airplane, and behind him is Sean Hannity, who will not stop jabbering to somebody while Trump is talking. But Hannity did ask a pretty good question of President Trump in one of the interviews, and I'll have that for you on the other side of this here on the Allman Report, the 3 Martini Lunch. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio.
Why has Steph's Pizza become the place to go for St. Louis-style pizza, appetizers, salads, and pastas? One taste and you'll know. Dine-in, pickup, delivery, even DoorDash. Locally owned and operated with legendary pizza and a new location in Lake St. Louis at 111 Palm Fort Trail. In St. Peters, St. Charles, and the original Stephanitas in O'Fallon on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Steph's Pizza is proud to be part of the News Talk STL family. Check them out at stephspizza.com. And remember, tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs, a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education, because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding, because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Republicans say progress is being made on government funding. Here's correspondent Willie Nelson.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says lawmakers have passed their first appropriations bill for the 2027 fiscal year, a step toward improving oversight of taxpayer dollars.
Today, we just passed our first regular order appropriations bill for the FY fiscal year 27 cycle. This is, again, fulfilling our commitment to get back to regular order in the appropriations process. That's the only way for Congress to be a good steward of taxpayer funds.
Willie Nelson, Washington.
President Trump left China after 2 days of talks with President Xi Jinping, and both sides were very diplomatic in this meeting. The president held what he called fantastic trade deals and said a lot of different problems were settled. He also told reporters more details about a possible big sale of airplanes.
We had a great stay. It was an amazing period of time. President Xi's an incredible guy. Got along, made a lot of great trade deals, including over 200 planes for Boeing with a promise of 750 planes.
Unionized workers for North America's largest commuter rail system could soon go on strike.
The Long Island Railroad could shut down Saturday at 12:01 a.m. if unionized workers and the train system can't reach a tentative contract. The railroad, which serves New York City's eastern suburbs, is North America's largest commuter rail system, carrying some 250,000 customers each weekday. The railroad and the union representing locomotive engineers, machinists, and other train workers have been negotiating for months. A strike was temporarily averted in September when the Trump administration agreed to help. Those efforts ended without a deal, and both sides were given 60 days to try again. I'm Donna Warder.
Slow going on Wall Street. The Dow right now down by 438 points. More from townhall.com.
I talked to a lot of great companies. Very few of them actually literally surprised me, but Fellowship Home Loans sure did. For over 20 years, Mike and Brian and the team there have been helping families do something most people think is more complicated than it has to be. Get into a home, lower their rate, or tap into equity they didn't even realize they had. Everything at Fellowship is done in-house. One roof, one great team, all with a servant-led mentality. From your first phone call to closing, you're going to get people who know you by name. They'll know your situation. They treat you like family. They're also offering a free mortgage checkup right now. Don't miss out. Rates are lower now than if you purchased or refinanced your home in the last few years. Many Fellowship customers are saving hundreds of dollars a month when refinancing, and there are no payments for 2 months. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We'll have some broken clouds today and an isolated shower is possible, but the potential for being hit by this is very low. For most of us, it's just a bit warmer. Temperatures near 86 degrees, feeling that humidity as well. It clouds up overnight as a cold front approaches the area. That front doesn't really have an impact on our temperatures, but it does bring a rain and storm chance that we have to watch for early on Saturday. And in the afternoon and evening, some isolated storms are possible. It gets a bit hotter over the weekend and next week.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Stan Musial, he missed a season in his prime to serve his country
in the Navy.
Honor a legend on Saturday, May 16th when the Cardinals face the Kansas City Royals. Fans can secure a Stan Musial military bobblehead presented by Coca-Cola and Deerbirds. This patriotic collectible celebrates Stan's Hall of Fame career and his service to our country. A true symbol of character on and off the field. A tribute worth displaying and remembering. Don't miss it. Get tickets and details at cardinals.com/promotions.
Paging all nurses and healthcare heroes, this night is for you. Join the Cardinals for Nurses Appreciation on Wednesday, May 20th and Thursday, May 21st at Busch Stadium. With a special theme ticket, you'll receive a healthcare-inspired Cardinal sweatshirt plus a coupon for a complimentary drink. It's our way of saying thank you for all that you do in our community. Don't miss the special theme at the ballpark. Details and tickets at cardinals.com/theme.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Put me in a special school, 'cause I am such a fool. And I don't need a single book to teach me how to read. Who needs stupid books? They are for petty crooks. And I will learn by studying the lessons in my dreams.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy fancy Friday to all of you and yours. It's Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, Ashlyn over there. And coming up just a little bit later on, we're going to get our usual little tech update from Elizabeth Kaiser. Elizabeth Kaiser, she is the host of Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser here on News Talk on Sunday starting at 8 o'clock. Great show. She's kind of been groundbreaking in many ways regarding AI and the data center issue and everything else. She's been on top of it. I think actually one of the first people in local media to really dig deep into this whole thing. So she's going to be on with us, and we'll talk about some things. She's got a few things that she has discovered and is working on too, and we'll follow up on that definitely on this Fancy Friday. I want to give you a little piece of breaking news, and this is actually good news. This is a 9-0 Supreme Court decision where the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that foreign brokers can be held personally liable for negligently hiring dangerous trucking companies, including those flooding our highways with illegal aliens, unqualified foreign drivers who can't even speak English, all that kind of thing. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, delivering the opinion in the case Montgomery versus Caribe Transport, Illinois, confirming that federal law does not shield these middleman brokers from state negligence lawsuits. The case stems from a 2017 crash in Illinois where Sean Montgomery, who's a trucker, lost part of his leg after being smashed by a carrier hired by this freight company named C.H. Robinson. The decision does not necessarily, what happened is the Sean Montgomery sued, and the decision doesn't mean Montgomery will necessarily win the lawsuit because the company's contesting it, so you're going to have to go through, obviously, proof and all that kind of stuff. Ruling opens the door to increased liability for freight brokers, a key part of the industry. And the Trump administration and companies such as Amazon had argued that letting the suit go forward would expose logistics companies to liability under a patchwork of state laws. So there was some people, who, including the Trump administration, who wanted these people shielded. I do not agree with that. I think they ought to be held liable. I think, there's too much of what's going on here with. It's funny how we watch these things happen. We watch all the illegal aliens that come to this country, presumably coming for jobs, but there's never any punishment for the people who are hiring them. And I remember back in the day, the argument was, well, we don't know. They have four. You can find out. You know what you're doing. You know what's going on here. And actually, I've told you this before. I'll just say it again for the sake of saying it again because it's important. But back in the day, especially when we had, in 2010, that kind of area there where we started to see a real influx. But Bill Clinton, his administration was harder on employers hiring illegals than the Bush administration was. And that's a real big component of all of this is they wouldn't come here if they didn't have offerings from agriculture and all these other people. I mean, and that's never even considered. They're just they're not coming here thinking, well, maybe I'll find a job. They're coming here knowing they're going to find a job. Similarly, trucking companies know damn well, and these freight brokers, they know damn well that there needs to be some accountability for who's driving it. I mean, it's kind of like, when you're hiring a company as a freight broker, you're finding a trucking company, you need to make sure that company is top notch. You may need to make sure it's got, all its papers, everything else. But, this couldn't happen. We would just simply watch people get killed by illegal alien truckers. And I haven't seen one trucking company prosecuted under all of this. These people who have CDLs that have no name on them, all that kind of stuff. How do you hire somebody like that? Well, now I think there's going to be some degree of accountability, and I don't think this is anti-business. The Trump administration, unfortunately, is kind of adopting this whole Bush Republican era, protect businesses at all costs, and there are obviously limitations to that, everything else, but I mean, this is a good decision on the part of the Supreme Court. All right, on to China. So these Chinese guys were trying to keep the Secret Service from doing their job. Secret Service was like, hey, let us out here, Screw you, dude.
Is that the security of our side do not allow you, sir, leave this
They are literally...
Yeah, this is a Chinese security guy going, the security on our side does not allow you to do your security. I'm like, I'm Secret Service.
We gotta move. We gotta go, guys. Okay, no, we gotta go. We gotta go. Go. We gotta go. We gotta move. We gotta go. Let's go. We're going.
Look at this. That is our head of
We
security.
gotta go, guys. Let's go. He's right.
We have to go.
We gotta go. Go.
We have to go.
We are going. Unbelievably.
And so they start to push through, basically telling Juan and Tan to get out of the way.
We are going.
Yeah.
We're going.
Get out of the way.
Rachel, make sure you're in this.
Go.
Anyway, just a little misunderstanding, that's all. And then we had also the Brett Baer, who was remarking, because he was over there, and he was remarking about all the surveillance cameras.
Big Brother is watching. There are literally cameras everywhere in Beijing. We are out.
Sounds like the United States of America, to tell you the truth, but I don't know.
The Haidian station, and I can count at least 20 on this corner. In fact, in Beijing, they've added 1,500 cameras just this year alone. They see everything. There's nobody jaywalking here because they could get a ticket right away.
Yeah, probably nobody pushed down, raped, killed, murdered, stabbed, whatever is happening on the streets of New York. I know what we're going to. Well, do we want this kind of society, however? I don't know. I don't want a society where you can't walk on a subway place and not get pushed down into the tracks, or you've seen people getting beaten, whatever. Sometimes it is on surveillance video, but I mean, I know that Benjamin Franklin said, once you give up security, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I get it, but at what point are we going to not tolerate criminals? I mean, listen, and I'm not saying I would want this, but if you go to places like Bali and places, you go into the airport, they basically say, if you're carrying drugs, we will put you to death. I mean, and there really aren't too many drugs running through there. I'm just, telling you. Now, I don't know. I don't really care about it, and I get it where people are, have been flocked.com is what Ben Murphy's talking about. No, I get it, Ben. I mean, I've been I was one of the individuals screaming bloody murder about red light cameras and stuff like that. And I told you yesterday when I talked about them, I never pay red light cameras. I don't pay speed camera tickets, and nothing's ever happened because I'm not going to be the part of your civil liberties do not allow you to be confronted by a robot. You have the right to confront your accuser, and if your accuser is a robot, that's not constitutional. Now, license plate readers, I don't really see a problem with. I don't really have any problem with license plate readers. It's a privilege to drive, and if you're a jackalope, then and you've got something wrong, then you ought to be off the road. Bottom line, that's how it goes. I got snagged by one because I told you the story about it because I had expired plates. I didn't realize, but yeah, the surveillance society, like in China, I mean, we've got them all over the place. But the fact of the matter is, I'm assuming jaywalking isn't committed, but I'm assuming there are a lot of other crimes that aren't committed too.
In fact, our driver parked illegally for 2 minutes, and he got a message on his phone that he got a ticket for about $40 US.
I mean, I don't know. Parked illegally for 2 minutes. What part of the? I think I heard illegally there. I mean, it's kind of like. Why is that? Why Fox News and some people like Brett and others gloss over the idea that if you're an illegal alien, you're already a criminal? I mean, this whole thing about and again, I'm not a Puritan about this kind of stuff. I'm not one of these people. But I mean, at some point, you parked illegally, just for 2 minutes. It's like I get it, but there's probably a reason why it's illegal to park right there. I don't know. I mean, but I've done it before. Hell, I've stopped. I've parked in a fire lane before just for a couple of minutes. If I got a ticket for it, I'd be like, that's the risk I was going to take,
Because they saw it on the camera. Now, there are real questions what the CCP's goal is about citizen tracking and social scoring.
Yeah, that's probably what they're doing. And that I wouldn't approve of, and I don't think it would happen in our current political environment, at least with President Trump around. But you can tell it's more than just crime prevention in China. It's probably more like, trying to spy on their people and see what they're up to,
They say it's to make everybody feel safe. These cameras are watching every minute. They're everywhere. And while they're watching us here in China, we hope you continue to watch. Special report from Beijing.
I mean, he's showing a camera that is that I see in the United States of America. I mean, I see them. You see them over the lights and all that kind of stuff. I don't know whether those are old red light cameras or whatever. But there's surveillance video. The only time I really feel weird about cameras, I remember when I was working at iHeart. And the whole office space was stuffed with cameras everywhere in this office space. I thought that was really weird. And it's kind of odd to be in a situation where everything you're doing, and you never know whether people are, I remember one time, I don't know why people do this, but people do. I don't know, people take food off of people's desks. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what it would take? Like what kind of person you have to be, like to take a Snickers bar off somebody else's desk? I mean, I mean, it's hard to believe there are people like that. It's kind of like you saw the video out there a while back where, because I was talking about these peppers I grow, the Carolina Reaper peppers, and some woman put some of these peppers in a sandwich because the person kept stealing her lunch all the time out of the refrigerator. So she decided to put these super hot peppers basically there that will almost stop your breathing if you're not careful. Next thing you know, she's got some woman walking around going, I got, my mouth is burning. It's like, yeah, well, and then people on the internet were like, well, she could have been killed. It's like, well, stop stealing people's lunches. I mean, it's not our fault. The penalty might be death if you're taking somebody's lunch, but that's the way the world is. But anyway, we had somebody stole like a muffin or something off a desk, and we got a message in our mass email saying, whoever took the one off the desk, please return it because you're on camera. And somebody did. I don't know. Somebody did or whatever. And but that's the extent of it. But like the workplace cameras are the weirdest ones. The ones in your office where everything you're doing is looked at. But otherwise, a lot of these things are neither here nor there. All right, Jen Psaki, never disappointing, right? She decides that she's going to question why Eric Trump is with his father in China.
Guess where Trump's adult son Eric is right now? Well, he's with his father in China. Now, Eric Trump does not have a role in the U.S. government. In fact, he's supposed to be sort of firewalled off from any U.S. government activities because he took over the family businesses when his father re-entered the White House.
Oh, yeah. This is really interesting because, I don't know, Jen. The internet is forever, and I don't know whether you noticed that prior to the Trump administration, people actually had cameras, like they took pictures and stuff like that. And some of the pictures have Joe Biden with Hunter Biden meeting with the Chinese. And some pictures have Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's sister on an official trip to Ireland with him. But these people, we don't notice.
Supposedly to prevent conflicts of interest. But there he is. You can see him.
Yeah.
Now, I should say that
Eat a bag, Jen. That's what I say to you. All right. Next thing you know, ladies and gentlemen, we got Sean Hannity. Now, Hannity sometimes is annoying. I'm not really. I don't make any hay out of going off on Hannity, but I did notice when he was in the airplane, when President Trump was talking to the press, behind President Trump is Sean Hannity running his mouth like 100 miles an hour with somebody. That'd be so annoying to me. If I'm Trump and I'm on the plane and maybe there's some exterior noise or whatever that you don't see him, but you're like, dude, shut up. I'm talking to, Hannity's just, it's the president of the United States talking to the media, and Hannity's like chatting with some chick. It's like, dude, gee whiz. Anyway, to Sean Hannity's credit, he did ask President Trump a question that I'm not so sure President Trump really necessarily answered it to any kind of satisfaction. I am glad Sean asked the question, though.
The issue of Chinese students in our universities, more importantly in my mind, is that Chinese nationals have been buying up thousands and thousands of acres of farmland, ranch land, and land near military installations. Now, I would assume I'm in Beijing. If I wanted to buy property near one of their military installations, I don't think President Xi...
No, they wouldn't let you. I don't... Look, it's not that I love it. You want to see farm prices drop? You want to see farmers lose a lot of money? Just take that out of the market. But they've had a lot of land for a long time. Obama did nothing about it. They bought a lot of it during the Obama administration. He did nothing about it. As far as the students, it's 500,000 students they come, good students. I could tell them, I don't want any students is a very insulting thing to say to a country. They would then immediately go out and start building universities all over China. But if you don't have those students, good students, by the way, if you don't, and we do another thing, you know, if they're good and they want to stay in America, we won't give them a green card and things like that. You know, and that not only them, but other countries. But if you want to see a university system die, take 500,000 people out of it. And you know, the ones that won't be hurt are the top schools. The top schools will do fine, but your lower schools, the ones that don't do quite as well, they'll be dying all over the place. I frankly think that it's good that people come from other countries and they learn our culture, and many of them want to stay here. I think it's good. Not everybody agrees with me, and it doesn't sound like a very conservative position. And I'm a conservative guy. I'm really a common sense guy, I think, more than a conservative guy. I think MAGA is common sense, you know. People understand we want strong borders, we want strong military, we want good education, we want low interest rates, we want, but
I think people would argue they worry about, do they have nefarious intentions?
Sure, I know, and we worry about that, and honestly, you know, they do things to us and we do things to them. It's a very, very fine line, the whole thing with students. So they have 500,000 students, and our university system does great. You know, it does great.
Yeah. So anyway, President Trump's struggling a little bit there, but I think that he's also being authentic because he's saying, I know it doesn't sound like a very conservative position, but sometimes it makes sense for us or what have you. And I think there's got to be some way. And here's the thing. And this is where I will probably be accused of being relatively Pollyannish or whatever. But you're fresh off of a meeting with the Chinese. You are fresh off of opening markets for the U.S. in China that we didn't have access to. So China had a bunch of access and has a bunch of access to our markets, but we didn't have any access to theirs. And President Trump was able to manage to get that kind of action going for us. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, and we can discern whether or not we want to buy. I know that DLW says that's why I don't buy Smithfield products, because it's owned by the CCP. And I think that's a legit way to go. But what I'm saying is, so you're fresh off this meeting. One thing you're probably not going to do is, while you're still in China, being interviewed by Sean Hannity, one of the things you're not going to do is say, well, I'm not going to let them buy any more farmland, and I'm not going to allow their students over here. You're basically not going to say that. So I'm hoping, and I think it's something we need to keep an eye on, particularly I think the farmland stuff. We need to keep an eye on that because it's true that Obama and Biden let them just go. I mean, they were running roughshod buying all this stuff. So he says they already have it to a certain degree. And underneath the subtext there is that they already have it. And ultimately, I don't think that they're going to let them do what they did during Obama and Biden's time. Now, again, that's the Pollyannish MAGA look for the silver lining part of what I'm hearing there. I get it. You know, there goes fanboy Allman making excuses for Trump again. No, I'm just saying that, you know, President Trump is smart enough not to sit there and trash China with Sean Hannity while he's still in China before he even gets the plane on out of there. And so it's kind of like you've been in the cage with the lion, you've tamed the lion, and you're going to leave the cage. And that's going to be pretty much it. But you're going to get out while you can. And to me, I think, you know, President Trump, a lot of what he does, and this happens quite a bit, and it's how you deal. It's a confidence game. You got to gain the confidence of the person that you are negotiating with, that you might even have some conflicts with, and then you go ahead and make it happen. But you can't sit there after talking to the guy and say, well, none of that's going to happen to Sean Hannity. It's just not going to work that way. But that's what I'm hoping. That's why I say keep an eye on it and figure it out. Good afternoon, everyone. Tim Walz, man. He woke up this morning and said, I'm not terrible enough of a person. So I need to do something that makes me more reprehensible and reminds people just how reprehensible I am. So I'm going to follow up on that. Plus, Elizabeth Kaiser's on her way. This is the 3 Martini Lunch at Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I'm such a special guy. I'm a troublemaker, never been a faker, doing things my own way and never giving up. I'm a troublemaker, not a double taker. I don't have the patience to keep it on me.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Gemini Wealth Group. Oh, ladies, and gentlemen. The deal here is that because everybody's eating their kale and taking such good care of themselves, and because of medical breakthroughs and all that kind of stuff, people aren't dying as quickly as they used to, which means that you can retire and you can live 20, 30, sometimes even 40 years after you've retired, which is really a great thing because you're able to enjoy the grandkids or whatever it happens to be in life, without having to work and all that kind of thing. But it's not really much fun if you can't really afford it. So you got to make sure the Gemini Wealth Group and this team of 5 amazing experts with more than 100 years of experience in portfolio management, in investiture, everything else, are going to be there for you, and they will be. The GeminiWealthGroup.com. Not only strong supporters of your kind of common sense conservative radio, but really great people who are going to make sure that when push comes to shove, at the end of the time, you're not sitting there looking in the folds of your couch for some quarters. You're going to have the money, and they have a diversification investment process that really is proprietary, but it works. And so what happens is you're able to simply utilize your dividends and not even touch the main part of it, for a long, long while. So check it out. These are great people. Jeff Portman, who's a friend of mine, an overall great guy with that great team, and they love helping people. They have people, they were telling me the story about the 100-year-old client they still have. It's amazing. The GeminiWealthGroup.com. That's the GeminiWealthGroup.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Grasser Home Services.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Fancy Friday to all of you and yours. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL, the 3 Martini Lunch, people. Jamie Allman here in Ashland there. Elizabeth Kaiser on her way just a little bit. We'll talk about the AI phenomenon. Told you yesterday, Princeton has gone back to proctors because everybody's cheating on their exams and assignments with AI. And Claude's like, well, technically, that's not cheating. I'm just simply helping them. I'm Claude, you see. Don't offend me with your accusations that I'm a... I don't know how Claude... I'll tell you one thing, though. This is crazy, right? So a long time ago, Jen Wallner has a baby girl. She's really cute. Evie. And it's just recently born. And there was something going... I can't remember what it was. But I was like... I had Claude create a label for Evie hot sauce or Evie red sauce with her picture on the front of it because she's so cute. So anyway, I had Claude do a label of that, and he created this label, and I just made a little joke of it and sent it to Jen and everything else, and that was like 4 months ago. So the other day, I am. I love some things with the garden I like to consult Claude on because I'll see like a leaf or something doing this or how soon do I pick that or, is this strawberry because I'm growing strawberries and it's like, is this one ready to go? It's like, it's not as big. He says, they don't really grow. Strawberries when you grow them in a garden don't grow as big as they do in GMO land, that you get at the store. I'm like, oh, okay, got it. Is pepper still pickable? Whatever. So I asked him questions about the tomatoes. Then he goes into this thing, assuming it's a he. I don't even know. What am I talking about? She. Claudette. No. He goes into this thing where, what other tomatoes are you growing? I'm growing like 9, because I am. I'm growing like 10 different varieties, 9 or 10 different varieties of tomatoes. Heirloom tomatoes. There are some beefsteak tomatoes, and I'm growing cherry tomatoes, and just all kinds of stuff. And so I explained what's going on. He goes, oh, wow, that's great. That'll be great when you want to make the Evie red sauce. And I'm like, what is Evie's red sauce? Because I didn't remember making it. I didn't remember doing that. I was like, oh, that was a label I made for you. For that red sauce. I'm like, for the baby. I'm like, oh. I'm like, I didn't say this, but I'm thinking, you remembered that? Like, it remembered this conversation. And what's weird is that the Claude chats are all separated. So if I went on to Claude right now, it would be starting a new chat, which is what I did there. And Claude still remembered a chat that I had with him 4 months ago. And I didn't even remember it. That was crazy. So it's pretty nuts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get to this before Elizabeth comes in. So Tim Walz is reprehensible. I feel bad for him because he can't help himself, and he woke up this morning and said, I feel like people have forgotten how awful I am. And I need to remind people that I'm really a demon, and so I need to kind of remind people of that. So he takes a picture, and this is Republican House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. He posted a picture of himself with House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, comparing the medical boots on their legs. So Emmer has a boot on, and so does Steve Scalise. And so what does Tim Walz decide to do? For some reason, he decides that he's going to take the picture and put this line to it. The House Bootlicker Caucus is officially up and running. I'm like, you're kidding me. And of course, what Tim Walz must know, I'm sorry he doesn't. Tim Walz has to know and know that Scalise is wearing a boot because he was shot by a Democrat on a baseball field with other Republicans. By a guy who was fueled by rhetoric that, like this. How do you do that? You're Tim Walz. How do you do it? And he still hasn't even followed up on it or said, oh, hey, sorry, my mistake, because he doesn't care and other Democrats don't care. And as I said earlier in the week, like when Hakeem Jeffries threatened us and did everything else and said, I'm going to bury your souls. It's like, dude, all right. It's time to meet actually not in the middle, but at Gettysburg. Just telling you. We've had enough of this. Good afternoon, everyone. Elizabeth Kaiser on the way. It's Common Sense Radio.
Dozens of out-of-state law firms are crashing into St. Louis trying to get your business. My advice, rely on a hometown firm. Under Law has been here for years. There are lawyers raising their families right alongside yours. And when you're injured by someone's careless actions, you are entitled to full compensation. You want lawyers who will not bend to big insurance, but will stand defiantly protecting you. Under Law, O-N-D-E-R, underlaw.com. Under wins.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Anthony's Produce, Cole O. Combs, and Heroes Care. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. This date, 1972, the attempted assassination of George Wallace.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Stars Gourmet Food and Wine Shop.
Every year is the same, and I feel it again. I'm a loser, no chance to win. Leaves start falling, come down is calling. Loneliness starts sinking in. But I'm one.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Fancy Friday to all of you and yours. It is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you.
And I can see that this is me.
And over there is
You'll all see I'm the one.
the great Elizabeth Kaiser. She is the host of Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser, 8 o'clock Sundays. I was just asking her off the air because this is the kind of stuff you're going to get. And I missed that show, so I need to see it.
It'll be this Sunday.
Oh, it's going to be this Sunday?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good. So
yeah,
this is
this Sunday. You didn't miss it.
So at one point, Elizabeth sent me a video of her in a gyrocopter. Is that what it's called? Gyrocopter?
Gyroplane. Yeah, same thing.
Gyroplane.
Yeah.
And it's like a little video. She's like flying around in this thing. And I don't know, you guys know what gyroplanes are. And I messaged back and said, that looks dangerous. But Elizabeth is not, she's no slouch. She's going to put up with it. She's a fighter. She's a gamer. And then I remember seeing an email, and I think you wrote to Jeff. It's like, I'm going to do a whole show from my gyrocopter. I'm thinking, you probably would do that, wouldn't you?
We almost did.
So there's some middle ground where that's coming up on Sunday, right?
Yeah, there is. We didn't do it actually, 1,000 feet up in the air like we wanted to, or 2,000, but we're doing a hybrid. So my producer's going to put footage of while we were flying for an hour, in south of St. Louis, and then he's going to kind of merge that with our narrative with the pilot and I talking together on the show. And it's this Sunday at 8 o'clock, which is kind of funny because the name of the show is Straight Lines. And part of the narrative, John's like, these gyroplanes are great because you can go in a straight line if you need to go from point A to point B, and you cut off about 75% of your drive time.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. It's the name of my show, Straight Lines.
I know this sounds like a stupid question because I know I want to get to this other stuff with AI and everything.
Yeah.
But do they have they don't have wings, right?
They don't. They have what they call rotors, and they're basically the blades on top, and the rotors are not even powered. They're only powered by the wind, which is really cool because if you lose your engine, you just float down like a parachute. And he shut the engine off when I was up there. And I totally trusted him because he's not just a pilot. He actually owns a huge company, and he's got the franchise rights to the entire Midwest. But and he gives lessons. Anyway, you just float down like a parachute. Have you ever seen those little maple seeds that could do this? They twirly bird. That's how you do it. You just kind of float down.
So it's not like a helicopter that just basically drops out of the sky when everything
you don't
turns
crash.
off.
You don't crash and burn. It's like impossible.
Wow.
You just float down.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
They're really cool.
interesting.
I know. I want to get lessons.
It looked to me like it was kind of a go-kart in the air. But I don't mean to diminish. I'm not diminishing it, but it's just kind of funny because you're wide open.
You're right. It kind of does look like a go-kart. No, I have to agree with you. Maybe a little sophisticated, classy go-kart, but it's they've really come a long ways. I mean, they used to be kind of dangerous, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she did that." Well, that's because they're thinking of a long time ago. Since Magni came in from Italy, it's just a transformation in terms of safety, sophistication, cutting-edge technology.
Yeah.
And, Italy is where they make the Bugatti, the Lamborghini, the Ferrari.
yeah.
They know what they're doing.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. All right, so AI. I was just telling the story, and I'm quite sure whether you heard it, about my interaction with Claude between my plants. Claude remembered something that I did 4 months ago. I didn't even remember it. But it was about tomatoes, and he goes, hey, you could use the tomatoes for Evie's red sauce. And I'm like, what is Evie's red sauce? It's like, oh, it's a label I made for you a while back for Jen Wallner when her baby. It was just a little. I didn't even remember I did that. So
wow,
that was crazy. But AI, I think that a couple things happened where we had that commencement speaker at the Florida University who brought up AI to this liberal arts class graduating, and they all booed her because she said it was transformative and it's like the Industrial Revolution, and all these liberal arts guys were like, boo, no. And I explained, I go, well, that's because you're not embracing it. The more you deny it, the worse it's going to get for you. Then, of course, yesterday I was telling the story in Princeton University, they're going back to proctors now because people have figured out ways to cheat on exams using ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the AI update now?
I would have to support the proctors. Yeah. They should have started that a year ago. Because, I even had Mike Ferguson's wife on. She's a professor, Rachel, and she was talking about it's so hard to keep up with. It really is. With AI, there's things are really heating up in the last 3-4 weeks, really all over in other countries as well, not just the United States. But I will kind of start local. Local, you've got the Festus, and just yesterday, that case was actually transferred to federal court. So now it's residing in the Eastern District. And so the defendants moved that to federal court. The judge appointed, because you also kind of want to look at the judge, as an attorney, you kind of want to know what the tendencies of the judge is and kind of maybe get a little bit of the tea leaves of how he's going to rule. And the judge is Judge Matthew Shelp. He was appointed by Trump back in 2020. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he also ruled for him, and I don't know if this really gives you a good indication, but he's actually went against the federal vaccination the vaccine COVID mandate a few years ago. Went against
good
that.
on him. Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's definitely good on him. So there's really not a whole lot going on there. They bought time. Defendant owned a formal reply. But when you move it to federal court, you just extend that time. So so the defendant, CRG, Bob Clark, and then, of course, Clayco.
So, Elizabeth,
they've got more time.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But what is the federal question at this point, then? If it's in federal court, what exactly is the federal question?
I have not had time to even read the actual motion. I just found out this just happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So what I have is this task force of a lot of AI experts. And what I do is I go into those experts. There's about 3 or 4 I tap into. And serendipity, I just found this out literally 20 minutes ago, that judge signed it yesterday. So I have not had time to read that because I've had other meetings and all that. But that's a really good question. Really good question.
Yeah.
I'll fill you in on that. And then you've got, again, in Festus, you've got 4 petitions for recall, to recall the mayor, and you've got the other 3 petitions to recall the councilman that voted for the data centers. We just found out also just this morning. I always like to get my, AI travels so fast, you don't want to get your information 2 days ago.
Right.
You got to get it like 11th hour. And they did exceed their statutory required amount of signatures, and they're going to be filing that probably within the next week or 2. So we'll see what happens with that. That goes to the clerk. She determines whether the signatures are legitimate and valid and all that. Then it goes to the judge to adjudicate on those recall petitions. Probably not worth to spend a whole lot of time on that. But you do have this other environmental lawyer that Stephen Jeffries. He now has his footprint and his litigation stopping in 7 different counties. So he's definitely out there, and he's developed a template, kind of like a business in a box. I don't want to dilute him because he's a great lawyer and he knows what he's doing. But now he's in 7, and we've got Festus, Pacific, Festus, Pacific, Warren County, Montgomery County, Independence, Franklin County, and I believe Ferguson is where he's at. So,
well, I'll tell you, that Festus thing, especially with this recall effort, man, that has become the battle of Little Bighorn for these people who supported the data center, because it's a bloodbath. It could be with those 4 who were elected to replace the ones who voted for him, and then the 2 remaining, then the mayor. I think this is an object lesson in transparency, because I think if they had to do it all over again, they wouldn't make the mistakes they did in dealing with the public. And I think that this will be a pretty big example of how not to approach a data center in your community.
And Jamie, I'm glad you brought that up, because the meeting I had this morning, and the reason I didn't get to read what the federal question was is because I actually just got done with a meeting with our roundtable. We're actually going to start calling it a think tank now. And we have this AI think tank, and we've had it for 7 months now, and it's made up of lawmakers. We got senators, we got representatives, and then we've got the AI executive director of Washington University, and then we have the AI leader of the state of Missouri that works with Governor Kehoe on it as well. And we've got some other folks, 2 AI developers. And the one thing that we have highlighted, which is interesting, it kind of goes to the heart of what you just said. Basically what you're happening, the reason why you have all this acrimony, I'm very adversarial. And you've got, the developers, and then you've got the people like Stephen Jeffrey representing the grassroots, and, they form an LLC. But really, if you look at it at a super high level, you've got everybody swinging their swords, and they really don't know what they're swinging at. So because this is uncharted waters, it's like the wild, wild west. It's like when we were back into the sword sale territory in 2009. We had no guidance whatsoever to, the tumultuous area, uncharted waters. And so what we're putting together through all the collaboration of the experts on our AI think tank, and we're going to call it a think tank, is we do have the tools now, and we kind of look at it kind of as a mediator. We're not really for the data center. We're not for the grassroots. We're right in the middle, because we see that's what's missing. And we're missing the tools, and you've got the developer. You've got a huge power imbalance. We can't argue. That's undisputed. We've got a huge power imbalance. You've got the community that has never dealt with the Google or the Amazon or whoever that tech titan is. Mm-hmm. And then you got the tech titan that they've also haven't really dealt with the community centers either. So we've got this platform, which is a software platform, and it's called North Star. So it's very, very complex. It's actually built on AI, of course. And these two developers that I'm working with are Silicon Valley. One is local, and one is the author of the AI bill. The one in Silicon Valley actually authored the AI regulation bill that we're pushing through legislature. But that is really going to be the key. So if we get this document, which I believe is going to be presented to the Future Caucus up in St. Charles, Colin Wellenkamp is one of the reps. He's chairing this Future Caucus. They're going to have one last Future Caucus and a date yet to be determined. I'll be talking to Colin soon. They're going to be presenting this product, it's a software called North Star. And this North Star actually bridges the gap between the delta between the community centers and the AI. And it basically is the framework and the weights of what everybody needs to look at so they can focus.
That's
right
a good
now,
idea. I mean, I think that's good. And then as long as the people who are the elected officials aren't the only ones who kind of have it,
right?
Or at least are exposed to it, so the people can be too.
Good point. We're wanting to provide this actually free, gratis, no cost at all. It's completely neutral, and it's a mediation tool. For a space, it's uncharted waters where you've got billions and billions of dollars at stake.
Yeah,
and it's so necessary, and I think it would really mitigate all this litigation and adversarialness that we're seeing everywhere, because people really don't know how to even start the conversation.
Well, it could get to the point where the data center process is tighter than the process of putting a shopping mall in, because it'll even be it'll be overdoing the transparency, which is good, because I'll tell you, if that were applied to the shopping centers and all the TIF districts and all that kind of stuff, we might have been better off a long time ago. So it might turn out, oddly enough, that the process is stronger than even
that's a really good point. And
that one.
And another anecdote, like in Tahoe, there's 500,000 people that just got notification they're not going to have electricity anymore because the utility company said, "Oh, sorry, we're turning off the electricity because our data center needs it all." You got 500,000 people that's getting their electricity shut off.
Oh, Lord.
So if we had a tool like that, case in point, we could be preemptive and proactive and mitigate and eliminate all of this.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, and just real quickly, because I've got another minute here, but you had a piece, something that you were advocating for a while back, and you were working with a state senator on it. It was an AI bill.
Yeah.
And it didn't make it this year, but it was also the first time it's ever kind of come before people, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of a bill of first impression. I would call it a case of first impression. And that didn't make it. However, that's one of many. The other 3 bills that I'm working on, as well as our think tank is working on, because we're all made up of lawmakers and lobbyists as well to get these things through. That's going to be reintroduced in January because they weren't able to get it past this legislative session. Of course, today is the last day, right? Of legislative.
Well, it was
it was yesterday. Basically,
still,
everybody's driving home today.
Yep.
Right. But that bill did not make it, and it's not shocking. There's a lot in that bill, I think, that was really kind of muddy in the waters a little bit,
especially with everything else going on.
Yeah,
it was such a busy session with a lot of other issues, and I think there were people who just simply wanted to maybe get more information or see something else. I don't know.
The good news is we've got other bills that actually are the same bill.
Yeah.
That are being introduced by other reps. Like Scott Miller is one. We got Mike Koslow, and we got Phil Amato that's introducing one.
Yeah.
I think Mike Moon is another one. So
Mike Moon's a good guy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Elizabeth Kaiser, can't wait for the show this Sunday at 8 o'clock. It's going to be...
It'll be fun.
The great adventures of Elizabeth Kaiser on Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser. Well, thank you. These updates are really great.
Thank you,
I really
Jamie.
appreciate them so much and appreciate you so much. Ashlyn, thank you for everything. And coming up next, we've got Tony Colombo and company. Have a great and blessed rest of your weekend.
This spring into savings with Johnson Heating and Cooling. Rebates up to $600 off a complete HVAC system. And here's the deal. Purchase a complete system and get a free humidifier. Plus, financing available up to 0% for 60 months. Don't miss out. These offers